color guard. Vote. Left. Peace. Reset. Push.
I want to thank Lake High School's AGRTC. Now we have the national anthem sung by Marlee Rose Michaels.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fight o'er the ramparts we marched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang above bursting air, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Colors. Color guard. Port. Forward. Part.
Please be seated. I want to give a round of applause to the Lake High School AJRTC. Michael and her father and mother, Jeff and Nikki. So thank you again for letting us. So my name is Ellsworth Tony Williams. I am the master of ceremony for this event. But first, before I go any further, all the Sigma and the Zetas, blue 5, you know. Gotta do that. I don't keep care of standing up, this is my show. But I tell you, this is something when God's involved, we got a lot diverse group here. We have Marines, Air Force, Army, we have Navy, we have Sigmas, we got Zetas, we got Omegas, we got the Rocks. We got all these guys coming together, no fight. That's God. So if one of the things that I wanted to say is why are we having this? This is Wreath Across America. I'm gonna tell you why we're having this event. First, if those who don't know what Wreath Across America is once a year, the veteran organizations get together and they put a wreath on a veteran's tombstone. But what if you don't have that tombstone? What if when you came home from Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, you were put in a segregated cemetery where it was so small that you needed 4 or 5 were in one hole, and you had no mark, no receipt. The why? We will leave no man or woman left behind. The why? You will not be forgotten on our watch. That's the why we're having this event today. So we have a great cast. We're gonna have to move pretty fast, so we're gonna have to be out of here before to the cemetery. I want to give you a sense of how this rundown is gonna go. Some of you don't know. Some people think that this is it, and some people think they're going to the cemetery and that's it. No, this is actually a 2-phase operation. We all know when you have a 2-phase operation, you got some problems, you got some challenges, but so we're gonna make it happen. First phase is here at the DAV 83. This is where we're gonna honor the veterans who served and died during segregation but have no marker. That's what's happening today. Next, we're gonna head to Memorial Cemetery Park, which has a whole bunch of veterans, over 150 veterans there with tombstones. But you notice that most of them are not any earlier than 1956, because during that time, we don't know the delta between 1906 and up, but you see a lot of 1909s. So there is a memorial, it's called the Florida Negroes World War Veterans Memorial, dedicated 1923. What we're going to do when we get there 11, we'll start ceremony, the whole thing, 11, 15, 11, 30 at the latest. We're going to take these 4 wreaths, we're going to reunify. We're going to bring the brothers and sisters together. The ones who don't have a marker, the ones who do have, we'll bring them together that day and time. That's what we're there for, the unification. So that's kind of the rundown. So I will introduce some people who are following behind me that I think is great. I do want to, I want to definitely give honor to Admiral Chambers, Lawrence Chambers, for being here. And it's just history, guys. This is history you don't really see much about on TV. Admiral Chambers is history with his wife, Sarah. And so I'm proud to be here. But first, I would like to be followed by DAV Chapter Commander for letting us have this facilities, Hampton George.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of Post and Park Association, which is the facilitator of this building, also the DAV Chapter 83 Auxiliary, and most of all, Clarence W. Byers Sr., DAV Chapter 83. Welcome. Now, I say that because I want you to put a couple of dates on your calendar. Number one, every Monday, the first Monday of each month, we have a meeting right here at 7 p.m. Consider this your invitation. 2 is that we have a meet and greet and social every 3rd Monday of each month, which means this Monday, day after tomorrow, 6:30. Consider this your invitation, right? And lastly, every Monday between the hours of 9 and 1 in the afternoon, myself and the service officers provide a service to disabled American veterans and their families to help them with their disability claims right here every Monday, free of charge, first come, first serve. You come in here, we help, and we're pretty good at it. So with that, welcome, welcome, welcome.
I forgot to introduce myself really. So I'm Ellsworth Tony Williams, and I have like 3 hats, but they have one common theme: continue to serve our veterans and families. I am the president and CEO for Veterans Council and Veterans. I am Gamma Eta Sigma Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity's Military Affairs Chair. I'm also the NAACP St. Pete Armed Services and Veterans Affairs Committee Chair. But again, they all have one common theme: taking care of their veterans and their families. I want to thank some people because I may not get a chance to start running out here all in a rush. People who helped me along the way. I want to definitely thank General Johnny Johnson for being there. When I called him for the rocks, and he said, "Tony, I'll meet you where you want to meet." That's inspiration, not through me. I'm just a regular person, but God inspired. So through this whole journey, it was been General Johnny Johnson and Sergeant Major Lewis Brown who made sure this major didn't get in trouble. I was just sitting there carrying a suitcase while they're going to the cemetery. I want to definitely thank them for this event. I want to thank Brother Irvin because there are times I wanted to sing low and he was always a calm voice. So I want to give the power to them as well. And I want to also thank you, for the brothers, for our chapter. Lusan said, "Tony, do what you want to do." I'm like, man, that's kind of scary. But I want to make sure everybody understands it's a team effort. Finally, I definitely got to give the Zeta, because basically how I became the chapter chair in October. And I had a conversation with Shonda Gore. And she's the one that said, "Hey, we should do Wreath Across America and Bushnell." Bushnell. That's where my cell phone thing goes down to nothing. And I took to the brothers, everybody said, "Nah, too far." So, but I want to give Shonda and the Zetas the appreciation for actually starting this. And it was God did the rest. Because you know how God works. It was God that said, "Hey, what about the guys who can get a tombstone?" That came from God. I ain't, make sure. Shonda gave me the first idea. God gave me this idea. Just got to make sure. So I want to make sure they get the They appreciate, understand. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here because she has she goes to Bushnell for her family, which I understand as personal. But I just want you to know that. So I'm glad that the status are here and all over here, but I just want to thank you, thank you, thank you. Next, we'll be followed by the chapter president. And when I came here and I contacted him, and he's like, man, come on, man. You know, he's very invited. That's important to be invited. Instead of saying, are you financial? It was, come on. And that was very important to be a part of that. And if I got one person, also my brother here, known for several years, Dwayne Kimball. He's a Sigma, but not with our chapter. We have to change that. But he said, you know what, Tony, I'll be part of this. So okay, Dwayne, man, whatever. It's the first start. So I want to thank you, Dwayne, for your help as well. Okay, so now I want to bring on the chapter president for Gamma Eta Sigma, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, President Lusan Dickerson.
One more time.
Blue, white, you know, blue, white, you know. All right, feel a little bit better now.
All right. First of all, I always give honor to God, who's the head of my life. And again, my name is Luzon Dickerson. I'm the current president of Gamma Eta Sigma, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. On behalf of our international president, Honorable Chris Ray, all of the brothers of Gamma Eta Sigma, and all of the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, we welcome you today. You know, today is a special day, you know, for me, you know, because we are honoring veterans, you know, and not only that, but, you know, I would like for my dad to stand. You know, my dad is a veteran, Vietnam War. You know, it's just an honor to have him, you know, here with me today. You know, that was just God, because it was no plan for him to be here, but he's here, you know, so I really appreciate that. So Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, I mean, we live on the motto of culture for service for humanity. We've been in existence for 108 years, you know, so what you're seeing right now is just what we do. You know, we serve the community, you know, and as long as I'm the president, that's going to be our MO, you know, to serve the community of Tampa and the surrounding areas. Just on yesterday, we spent time at Rainbow Heights Elementary in the inner city. We gave away about 65 board games. We cooked hot dogs for the kids, and they just really enjoyed it from ages 6 to 8. They just enjoyed it, you know, because, you know, they may not get anything else for Christmas, but those are some of the things that we as Gamma Eta Sigma do for the community. Not only that, we gave away, what, brothers, 100 turkeys before Thanksgiving to families in the community. So, you know, God has blessed us to be a blessing in the community, you know, and you know, as I, you know, come here, I didn't even know this existed, but we're going to talk to you about partnering with you about doing some of those events that we just talked about, doing them right here, you know, at this location. So, you know, this is a good thing, you know. So I would also like for all the brothers of Gamma Eta Sigma to stand. So it's not about me, you know, you guys, if anybody know me, it's not about me. It's about these guys right here that make these type of things possible. But, you know, one thing about it, the good work that they do make me look good, you know. But so I ask the brothers to continue to do what you're doing. God bless you. You may be seated. And for everyone that's here today, thank you for coming. I hope that, you gained something from today. I want to thank our brother Williams for putting this together, all of the guys that have helped him, brother Brown, and other brothers that have assisted him. I know that this has been a stressful thing, but trust me, brother, it's worth it. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, so I won't forget also, as we have a new Senator Jay Collins, who is actually a veteran. In fact, his wife is a veteran too. She's actually dual military. But he's a new senator, and we have his representative here, Sunshine. Sunshine, can you please stand up? Okay, that's his representative, and she's Army. That's I hate. She's Army. And I think the husband's Army too. Yeah, so they both Army, so we're good. So make sure we have that. We go to the cemetery, there'll be a lot more elected officials there, so I just want to acknowledge, thank you for being here to our event. So, as I said earlier, I'm president and CEO for Veterans Council of Veterans, and we sponsored this event, not only because, you know, it's like three of us talking, me, the NWCD guy, and whatever. We sponsored it because we also have a program for DEI. We think that's important when it comes to even the veterans community, because oftentimes minority veterans are underserved and they're not part of the conversation or the equation. So we have a DEI, so not only are we doing this, we're also going to have for Black Christian Month. I'm a speaker for the Tampa Bay Heritage Luncheon. We're going to do women for March, women for March, Black Christian Month, Hispanic, LGBTQ. So that's one of the things that we're doing for Veterans Council of Veterans. Our primary purpose is suicide prevention, military sexual assault, and families of veterans. Those are our three primary functions. So I just wanted to have I'm honored for us to keep continuing on with the partnership with the Gamma Beta Sigma Phi Beta Sigma organization. So next, I say the next person. It's kind of funny how God works. I met through Stanley. I met Admiral Chambers at a library. We had an event at the library. Then I met him again at the airport when he came in. And this guy is history is why I want him here. He's history because he can give us context on what it was like to be in the military for an African American at that time, trying to navigate the military at that time during segregation. So I thought he'd be a perfect person to talk about it versus just trying to look at dictionaries. So no further ado, I want to give the nod to our guest speaker, Admiral Lawrence Larry Chambers.
I don't know, guys. I went to an NAACP convention and I had to follow two preachers. And I made up my mind I was never going to follow a good speaker again. And unfortunately, I'm in the same position today, but I'll try to do my best.
We have come here today on the occasion of Wreaths across America to honor our veterans who served and died during the same time of official segregation of our armed forces. When I started, the armed forces were segregated, and Truman issued an executive order, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. Thanks for the opportunity for an old guy to say thank you for your participation in the Wreaths across America today. What many people, both black and white, do not know is that even long after all the slaves were emancipated, when those brave black veterans died in the service of this country, they were not buried alongside their comrades in arms, but in racially segregated cemeteries. Not only were the private cemeteries segregated, our national cemeteries were also racially segregated. Once President Truman signed the executive order 9981 in 1948, officially ending segregation in the military, the national cemeteries complied immediately. Other final resting places, however, were not so ready to make that change. It was not until 1960 that most public cemeteries allowed Black heroes to rest eternally by their white comrades. You wonder, didn't they know? All the bones are the same color. The Lord works in mysterious ways. My wife and I were driving from a service in Charleston, South Carolina, where the Naval Academy Alumni Association had dedicated a memorial on the previous unmarked grave of James Henry Conyers, the first African-American to attend the Academy, and that was way back in 1871. They chased him out after a year, and there were several other people following, and it wasn't until Wesley Brown, who graduated in 1949, that we finally got one of us through the Academy. When the request came from Tony, it arrived inviting me to speak here today, we were en route back from that ceremony in Charleston. And Sarah was there listening on the phone, and I was wondering what can I add, what can I say, and on the subject, you know, most aviators will talk on anything as long as you give them a beer, and this is one of those occasions. I don't think I'm going to be rewarded. But that was no random coincidence in the Lord's plan. Look at the timing. This is clearly a calling. And that was my wife saying to me, trying to get me inspired to come here and talk today. We all know from history lessons for hundreds of years, African Americans were considered a necessity, but often reviled and shunned, part of the fabric of this country. Despite that fact, when we were needed, we stepped up by the thousands to fight and to die for America. From Christopher Attucks and the American Revolution to the escaped slaves who fought in the Civil War right up until today, America's war dead and her veterans have included African Americans. My naval career is a product of that same executive order by President Truman, desegregating the armed forces. And that was the reason I had the opportunity to enter the Naval Academy in 1948. Many in my family have served this great country in the military. My father served in World War I in the segregated Navy, where no black man could be an officer or even serve except as a steward's mate or as a messman. When he died in 1933, he was buried in Hampton National Cemetery. And of course, Hampton Cemetery was segregated at that time. Recently, in learning more about my family, I discovered that my great uncle was one of the original Buffalo Soldiers. His name was Wade Chambers. He was born a slave in Lynchburg, Virginia in 1858. Wade enlisted in 1882 from his hometown in Lynchburg. He eventually served in G Company of the 24th Infantry until 1897, when he was discharged with a disability. His last days were spent in what is now the Armed Forces Retirement Home in Washington, D.C., and he's buried in the grave that's associated with that home in D.C. After the American Civil War, there were many African American veterans of that war who saw no future in returning home to areas filled with racial unrest, unemployment. As early as 1866, all black units were commissioned and commanded by white officers. There eventually were two all-black infantry units, the 24th and the 25th, and two cavalry units, the 9th and the 10th. Years later, the term Buffalo Soldier was applied to those units and other conflicts, even though those units were integrated. In some places, Black American soldiers in all units were referred to as Buffalo Soldiers. My younger brother, a 3-star general in the Army, was made an honorary Buffalo Soldier during his service as commanding general of the 1st Cavalry Division at Fort Hood, Texas. He accepted that honor with great pride. Imagine what it was like after fighting side by side with white troops in Europe, Korea, and Vietnam in an environment where your life depended on a man next to you and his on you. Skin color was not a great concern in the trenches. Then you had to return to a segregated environment where the public accommodations, the neighborhoods, the buses, the theaters, the schools, even the cemeteries were racially restricted. Many must have wondered, is that what I was fighting for? The chance to sit in the back of the bus, send my children to 3rd-rate all-black schools, and be refused service at Woolworth lunch counter? We can't change what happened then. We can learn from our history. We can grow from that knowledge and continue to advance. Today, we gather to celebrate our veterans through Wreaths across America to remember, honor, and teach. And today, we celebrate the laying of hundreds of thousands of wreaths at cemeteries all over the country. We thank God that the people of all races come together to continue to grow the spirit of acceptance and to respect the equality and the contributions of all people, regardless of race. And we thank the Lord for all of our veterans and for all the volunteers who today will lay a wreath on the grave of those who served and died, regardless of the color of their skin. God bless the USA. Thank you.
Now, we'll have everybody stand up. We're gonna do a moment of silence for the veterans who have died with no markers during segregation. Moment of silence, please.